Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and that is Tim. Also joining Tim on his lap is Damien.
Yeah, it's my save the cat moment. Like, get out of here.
We talk about horror movies on this show. This particular episode, we are going to be going back to our franchise that we started working our way through back in October, actually. It's been a little bit since we did the last one. This is Friday the 13th, the final chapter, aka Friday the 13th, Part 4. It's not really also known as that, and it's not officially known as that, is what I mean, but most people probably still call it Friday the 13th 4, because that's what it is. It's the fourth one. And I think when you say final chapter, you should also use air quotes. Just the final chapter. Sure.
Yeah, because it's not a book.
That's not my problem with it, Tim.
Oh, okay.
My problem is that a year later, 5 came out.
Okay. But so, for the record, let it be known that this is not a book talking about the movie. Continue.
That is true. That is true. Do you think the novelization of this movie, you get to the final chapter, it's like, chapter, 10, the final chapter?
Lately I've actually been on a bit of a reading kick lately. I've been reading a lot, and I've been kind of having a weird perverse interest in reading some movie novelizations. I actually have a copy of the Constantine novelization. Can't say it.
Novelization.
It's a French pronunciation. That I should probably get around to reading. And I've always been interested in Jaws 4. The novelization is supposed to be pretty good, give a lot of backstory onto the motives of the shark and stuff. So maybe we'll do a podcast about that. I don't know.
Because that means I have to read it as well, Tim. So no. Well, part of the reason why novelizations sometimes have interesting things in them is because they have to write them in advance of the movie coming out. So they have to write it based on an earlier script or whatever. Yeah. So you end up with things that were cut out that are still in the book and so on.
I'll do one last tangent on this, and then we'll get into the movie proper. But this always just really makes me laugh. A good friend of mine from actually I should just say a friend, where I try
not a good friend, just a friend.
I like him a lot, but we haven't hung out a ton. But a comedian from back home on the East Coast, Mike Kaplan, has a very funny bit. I don't know if he does it anymore, but he talks about growing up. He wasn't allowed to go see R-rated movies, but he could read the book versions. So he read the book version of RoboCop, and there's a part in it where the guy gets the acid thrown on his face or whatever. Or it's not acid, is it chemicals or something?
Yeah, it's not even just the face, it's the entire body gets drenched in chemicals. He's like a goddamn toxic Avenger walking through the scene after he's done.
And he basically gets all melty and gross and stuff. But I guess in the book he turns hairy like a werewolf. And so in the bit Mike's talking about how he went to school next day and everyone's talking about RoboCop, oh man, this part was so cool, and he was and the part where the guy gets his stuff thrown on him and turns into a werewolf, and they're like, what? What are you talking about?
Here, if Mike ever hears this, all he's going to think is, not good friend? We're not good friends? What?
I consider him a good friend, but then I just felt weird because on the weird off chance if he ever heard it, I wouldn't want him to be hey, we're not that good. I don't.
That's your worry. You're more worried about him saying we're not that good than offending him if he thinks you're good friends, and then you actually live on air corrected yourself and went, no, actually not good friends, just friends. Downgraded.
He's also much more successful than me. He's been on TV and stuff a bunch of times, so I also don't want to sound like I'm trying to say oh, my very good successful friend. So I feel self-conscious about everything. Who cares?
You're on Streams After Midnight, Tim. You ain't got shit on you. So
yeah.
So hey, that's we talked about Friday the 13th Part 4, final chapter. That's what we're doing. So obviously we did the first 3. We got a few franchises we're working through. In fact, I'll tell you right now, the next time we get back to a franchise movie, next time it's not a new release or a Patreon pick, it'll probably be Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, because it's been a while since we've done Part 2. we need to get to part 3. So that's probably the next one. But it won't be the next episode, but it'll be the next time we get back to one of these. It'll be that. So.
Oh, and because I'm sure people have probably been concerned about the Blu-ray status. So like I said before, I didn't own these movies on Blu-ray, but I have since then been able to purchase the newly released Blu-ray box set. But as we know, it only contains the first 8 movies, unfortunately. But I just want to let people know I am watching these on Blu-ray now, and when we get up to the 8th, we'll see what I'm gonna do after that. But yeah,
of Friday the 13th, of course, because the way you went straight into that, it sounded like you were talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. Because I literally just finished a sentence about that.
See, so this is why, because I complain a lot about how these franchise movies, a lot of them don't have like nice Blu-ray complete box set collections, and I think part of the reason why I'm so angry about it is because Nightmare on Elm Street has such a simple, cheap, easy collection that's been out forever, that is affordable, has all the movies, except for. Yes, we all know you have that bad boy, but
what are you talking about, Tim? I've got every single Friday the 13th movie in one Blu-ray box set right here.
Well, I'm glad you're able to act on that when it was available for like 2 seconds, but does it have a date on that? When did that come out? Like
I don't think
early?
there's a date on the case, but it was like, I want to say like 2012 or something like that.
Okay, so I'm wondering when I started seriously collecting Blu-rays. It would have been after that, because 2012 was when I moved, and I had a pretty big DVD collection at the time, which I think a lot I sold back or left back home, and the Blu-rays I took were not that many. So I don't even know if I had a PS3 at the time. I might not have, or maybe I just got one. I must have already had one.
You got all the discs and.
Yeah.
You get Freddy vs. Jason X, and unfortunately Jason Goes to Hell's in there as well. But he had a coaster. Actually,
well, I think
actually no, it's on the same disc as Jason X, so you have to keep it, unfortunately. But
see, I think I would feel so a little bit of me is jealous, but not as jealous, because those are the movies that are missing.
Hey, I'm about to make you jealous, Timmy. Now the audio people won't get to see this, but I'm going to make Tim jealous.
God, you're not gonna take your clothes off, are you? All right, those are pretty cool.
Yes. I just whipped out the 3D glasses that came with it for the 3D version of number 3, which have got hockey mask sort of imagery on them.
Okay, you win, but I think people will side with me more, because they'll feel more sympathy and empathy and all that stuff, and I think more of us are. What is that? I can't even.
I told you the others, they didn't believe me. You're all doing. Yeah, my camera's flipped, so you can't actually read it. It's an armband.
Is that a headband? Armband?
That's an arm. I don't think you can get it in your head. Nah, that's too wee. Maybe I've got a big head, but I don't think you can get that in the head.
That is pretty cool. But it drives me crazy though, especially because the Nightmare people, they did it so right, they did it so good, and I don't know why these other dumb franchises can't get it together. I don't give a shit about rights issues.
But that's the reason to. Warner Brothers own all 7 Nightmare on Elm Streets. Right, they own all of them. Do you know? I love, because that came out when the remake was coming out. I think it was that's why it came out when it did. And I love that they didn't wait for the remake. They just said, no. The people who want these 7 just want these 7. They don't want the remake.
Yeah.
So they just get that box set, and if they want the remake, they can buy that separately.
I tell you what, though, if in 3 months they release a complete collection, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I will go ballistic. Because
you bought the 1/8 collection. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I get you.
At least it was a decent price. So I think it was only like somewhere between $20-$30. Like, it wasn't
for 8 movies
expensive at all. Yeah,
not bad.
What I'm probably gonna end up doing is I'm probably just gonna buy I know the remake is on Blu-ray, so I'll get that, and then 9 and 10 I'll probably just end up getting DVDs for. But
I think you can get 10 in Blu-ray.
Is it?
Yeah,
If it is, I'll snatch it up.
I think it's a standalone 10 Blu-ray, so it'd just be 9. Which, to be honest, I mean, if there's one you're going to have to go without, 9's not a bad one to leave behind. So
I think it is kind of a risk in this climate now, where you buy these box sets and these franchises are starting to come back. That like, you run the risk of like, all right, well, you're probably gonna have to start buying the single movies. Like they just announced a new Leprechaun yesterday, so I already have the Leprechaun box set, and
you have to accept that. Yeah, you just have to accept it. Although I do not own the Leprechaun box set, so I'm okay on that front. Honestly, when you might get like another big set of Friday the 13th is when they eventually make a new movie or a TV show. Whenever they get to like something else, that's when they'll go, oh, we'll do another complete box set for that movie coming out.
Is there there's no traction on that. They haven't really been talking about that.
It's dead in the water right now.
Stupid.
However, Happy Death Day 2 has been pretty much confirmed though. So
yeah, and they just announced a new Leprechaun movie.
He said that. He said that like 60 seconds ago, Tim.
Now, all right. I'll say one more thing about this, and
then we'll get to the movie.
I swear. But you know what needs to happen? Blumhouse needs to get their hands on this. And at this point, just give everything to Blumhouse. I'm fine with that.
Jason Blum has expressed interest in wanting to do it.
Let's do it. What are we waiting for? Yeah.
I'm not waiting for anything. I want it. Yeah, give it to Blumhouse. Why not? I'm all for it. Apparently, you told me in Friendly Dark Web's getting good buzz, and that's exciting too.
South by Southwest just happened a week or two ago, and I heard a couple of people tweeting about a couple of different movies, and I remember Unfriended Dark Web, I believe it's called, actually got some.
Which I just said 60 seconds ago. Tim, you keep repeating things that happened 60 seconds ago. This is a trend that is unbecoming.
There's another movie that was really good too. I forget what it was, but oh well, we'll see it eventually.
Yeah, we will. Obviously, we'll be getting to these all through the years as we get access to them. But all right, so finally, Friday the 13th 4, the final chapter, 12 minutes even into the actual episode, we're finally getting to the movie. But hey, slasher movies tend to be quite simple, so honestly, that'll pad it out a little bit because I don't expect the conversation itself will be as lengthy as. Sometimes we'll go an hour on some movies if they've got enough meat on the bone to talk about. This one's directed by Joseph Zito.
Okay.
Who actually did make another movie that we like a lot, The Prowler.
What movie is it? Okay. Well, that's a movie you like a lot.
You like The Prowler
I think I was a little lukewarm on it. It's not horrible, but yeah. Okay.
Prowler's a solid slasher movie. Anyway, I recommend it. Also directed the first Mission in Action movie, if you're a fan of Chuck Norris fare.
You know I am. It's great, I'm sure.
I enjoy those Chuck Norris action movies. They're not great, but fun. So he directs this one, and this is the one where I would say Jason officially feels like Jason. Formed. Yeah, fully formed. That's a good way of putting it. Because we said it has the hockey mask in 3, but there's still some elements about him that feel kind of un-Jason-like. Here it feels like, no, this is Jason Voorhees. This is where we finally got to him. And the final chapter is finally Jason Voorhees.
Now, I have a question. I'm not sure if you're going to feel comfortable answering it.
Oh, God. Oh, God. God.
So... Because I'm assuming at the end, once we do all the movies, we're probably going to rank them and stuff. So I don't know if you want to say this yet, but would you be comfortable in saying if this is your favorite Friday or not? Or do you want to save that? I
would be uncomfortable saying it, but only because I want to watch the rest first before I make my public statement on it.
Okay. The only reason why is I think in the past, for some reason I thought maybe you might have mentioned it, but I also think that this tends to be kind of a fan favorite.
I think it tends to be up there. I feel like 6 is the one people pick the most often, but I think 4 tends to be up there quite a bit. And I think it's a number of things. Like there's some good kills in here. I think that's first and foremost. I think it's got a nice dark gritty feeling to the overall thing. But the funny thing is, watching it again though, actually for this, I feel like one of the sort of criticisms I'd have of it is I feel like, and this is a weird complaint to make a Friday the 13th movie, but I actually think the characters are, with the exception of Crispin Glover, who of course has some standout moments with dancing and other things.
Yeah.
The characters are a little bit less defined in this one. Does that make sense to you?
Well, I think that's fair. Because honestly, there's like two characters I pretty much remember from this movie, and that's of course Crispin Glover and Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah, I feel like I think it's something to do with the fact that they had like obviously Tommy with his mother and his sister in one house, and then you had the whole group of kids in the other house. It's kind of like it's splitting the time between them, and because of that, I feel like not that Friday the 13th characters typically have big arcs or big stories, but
Well,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you think about it, it is kind of all over the place. Like you have this group of teens, but then you have this other group of this like family that's like, living in this house near them. And then you also have this the brother character that's kind of like this, random lone wolf kind of guy. And then even aside from that, you have like some random like, kills in a hospital and a, hitchhiker on the side of the road. So it does feel like there isn't like a really super tight knit group of people.
Yeah.
Oh, and and those two twins or sisters or whatever.
Yeah, they join up with the teen college age characters, whatever. I don't know. It was never really clear exactly because like, oh, a bunch of kids have rented a house, but high schoolers don't tend to rent houses, so I feel like it's probably college age kids who are fair, on their break or whatever. But so we're still on. This is another part of Crystal Lake, right? there's so much around this lake, and seemingly everything was fine up until now at this side of the lake, but now Jason's back. So we do actually. So I mean, I didn't give a spoiler warning yet, but I'll just say it now. Full spoilers from this point on because it's a slasher movie, whatever.
Well, before we go into spoilers, let's just maybe say real quick if we like it or not.
Oh yeah, I like it a lot. Despite what we just said, I actually really like this one. So
yeah. I like it quite a bit too. I'm not going to say which one's my favorite. I will say this is not my favorite, but it's definitely high up there.
His favorite 6.
We shall see.
His favorite 6. He may deny it. He may deny it till he's blue in the face, but he's his favorite 6. All right. So
I feel like mine might have a little more of a city flavor. If you
oh
I don't want to give anything away, but
do we get to go to Manhattan? Is that what's happening?
We'll see.
Okay. So yeah, we actually pick up straight where we left off with the last movie, right? Where the cops are there, they're sort of cleaning up the crime scene, and we have like the paramedics I guess they are paramedics, but they basically get his dead body and take it to the hospital for the coroner to deal with. And before we get to that though, the start of the movie does actually kind of treat it, because remember how 3 started off with the big like in fact even 2 did this as well. Here's the final scene from the last movie to catch you up if you didn't see it. The start of this one kind of does that, but it's a little bit better because it's not just a full scene again. It's actually like it's the story from part 2 at the campfire, but as he's telling the story of Jason, you see clips from all the movies that are relevant to what it's doing. So it's a nice little catch-up. It's basically, they might as well have had a character like at the start go, previously on Friday the 13th. Like they might as well have done that. But it's fine, it's whatever.
I wonder if that's something that they're going to start doing, like, because, I mean, in this day and age where you have, like, the Avengers movie that's like a culmination of like 16 movies beforehand or something. Like, are they going to have to start having people?
I happened to check, I won't check it, but I happened, just because Black Panther was recently, I can tell you that Avengers Infinity War is the 19th movie in that series.
Oh boy.
19th.
Hey, I'm not complaining. I like most of them, but yeah, like I wonder if they are going to start doing something like that. You have so much time before the movie. Why not throw up a 2-minute recap or whatever before the trailers? That's fine. I don't know.
I like the idea of that, but before the trailers, separate it out a little bit. So it's not part of the movie, but like a little thing. Yeah, no, that's not bad. That's not a terrible idea.
I don't want like, who would it be? I don't know, Hawkeye or something standing around a campfire telling the legend of like.
Let me tell you the legend of the Avengers. Right, so.
When we can't skip past the title sequence, so let's not forget that when we get there.
Okay, when was that? I'm forgetting. Was that like after the hospital stuff?
Yeah, I can't remember if it's after the clips or after the actual hospital stuff. I feel like it's after the hospital
Well,
stuff.
just talk about it now. Just since you want to
Okay.
talk about it, let's get it out of the way before I dive into the other stuff.
It's just really I just like how more intense it was. I guess maybe they thought since it was going to be the final chapter, because the other ones it was just like Friday the 13th coming to the screen and then the glass breaks, right? And then was there an explosion in one of them?
You're forget. I think there was an explosion in the second one. Part
Okay.
3, however, you're forgetting the funky music that was playing.
That's true.
Part 3's got really funky music during the opening credits. It's really upbeat and catchy, which is really weird for a Friday the 13th movie. So that was going for more of a fun vibe, whereas this one, it feels like, again, going with Zito, who also made Prowler, it feels like no, this is more of a gritty slasher movie, and it kind of has that vibe.
Yeah, and it's cool. I just wanted to. I really like that. The title sequences are like a thing in this franchise.
Sure. A lot of the movie takes place at night in the rain. There's a lot of that, so it's got that kind of feeling throughout the whole thing. Yeah, so they don't really address if the girl from 3 actually technically survived or not, because I remember we ended with the sort of the flip of the original ending where it was the mum came out of the water,
right,
and grabbed her. But the first movie, that was kind of a hallucination, so I guess we just assumed that the end of the third movie was as well, because Jason's just still kind of lying there in the barn with the axe in his head.
True. Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. So they take him to the hospital, and we have a this is a joke that they always like to do in movies and TV show. But you always have the coroner who's comfortable eating next to the corpses, and he's resting his sandwich on top of the Jason's body, and whatnot. And he's kind of creepy, kind of perverted. He's talking about how hot one of the bodies that were brought in were. I will say this is the first time they've kind of acknowledged, like in a sort of public forum, that Jason exists, although there's murders happening, because you hear the TV say, "Oh, this time he got three bakers and 7 kids," and it's like, "Oh, they're actually talking about it as if people know about this now. Like it's not just like the one crazy old Ralph, like it's got a death curse. It's not just him."
Who they showed in the clips.
Who they showed in the clips, of course they did. So that's the setup, and we have basically like a little hospital section, which is basically just the coroner and sexy nurse. She's kind of like, "No, I don't want anything to do with you," but he keeps kind of just trying to convince her, and then she's like, "Oh, let's watch the news together," and they watch the news, and then she doesn't seem up for it, but then she does seem up for it because he keeps asking. I don't know, it's the 80s movie logic, I guess.
Well, I mean, what better aphrodisiac is there than the news?
Yeah, they're also doing it right next to Jason's body on the table, and his hand moves at one point.
Mistake.
Yeah, and she's just like freaked out. I'm like, well, maybe don't start having sex next to a corpse. Maybe that's something you shouldn't do. It's funny because we're giving him shit for like eating next to the corpse, but like we should be giving her shit too. Like you were willing to have sex next to dead bodies. Like,
yeah,
go to a closet, have some class, some dignity. Have sex in the closet.
Yeah, that's what they're made for. I've been told.
Sure. So naturally, Jason gets up and kills the folk. And I like his look better in this one. His dark clothes work better than the green shirt from the last movie. He's a bit bulkier.
Do we know who's playing Jason in this one? It's not Kane Hodder yet, right?
Oh no, he doesn't come in until 7.
Oh wow, it's weird that he's like kind of like the only. I mean, maybe it's just me, but he's like the only name I think of when I think of Jason, and he really hasn't played him for that many movies.
Yeah, I know the face of the guy who plays him in this just because I've watched the Crystal Lake Memories, the big 4-hour or 6-hour documentary about all the movies, and I know the face of the Jason from the third movie.
I feel bad for not knowing his name, but he did do a good job in this movie.
Oh, he did. He did.
Yeah.
I can probably grab it here. Where are we? You'd think he'd be higher up the cast list, given
Danny DeVito. What?
You know what? I'm just going to Control F because it's not showing up. I'm actually getting Jason from archive footage from the last 2 movies before I'm getting the one that's Jason in this.
What?
I know. Yeah, Ted White. Although apparently Tom Savini, who does do the makeup effects in this, he came back. He was in he did the effects for the first one. He was gone for 2 and 3. He's back for this one. Apparently he played Jason in the hitchhiker murder scene because I don't know why. I think it's something to do with the practical effect, like he had to control it or something.
You barely see him in that scene.
Yeah, you see his like
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's why it's like not the guy who's playing Jason, Ted White,
Makes
who
sense,
plays him
yeah.
for the rest of the movie. I think it's something to do with controlling the effect that's happening.
Makes sense.
If I remember from the documentary, I think that was the reason. Because as soon as I read that, I went, yeah, okay, that kind of makes sense, given what I vaguely remember. But regardless, so where was I? Yeah, so Jason looks cool. The death of the coroner dude's actually kind of funny. He sort of twists his head. He sort of stabs him in the back of the neck and then twists his head all the way around. It's kind of cool.
That one was cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
I will say, actually, I'm gonna counter your point from a little bit earlier. I do like this movie quite a bit. Like you're right. Like the characters aren't very standout-ish, but then but there are a few pretty good ones. The kills, I don't think they're bad, but I don't think they're like super memorable. Like I think this one was kind of cool. There's a few other ones, but then there was a lot of like just pretty simple ones.
I think I feel like they're not always memorable for the gore aspect. Some of them are. Like this one's got a good gory kind of thing to it. I feel like what they do well though with the kills is they're all memorable for at least something. If it's not the kill itself, it's the hitchhiker, like she squeezes the banana out of the peel when she dies. It's like a memorable little moment. It's like, oh, I remember that kill because that's the banana one, even though the banana's not instrumental to the death.
Oh yeah, right. That's fair. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they all kind of stick out in memory. At least most of them do. So there's a couple of lame ones, but I feel like there's always a couple of lame ones in a slasher movie. They're not all going to be gold.
Yeah, there's a pretty decent body count in this, so yeah, I can get away with some average ones.
Yeah. Like the first twin who dies, like it's basically just off camera. You just hear her scream and then like she sort of stumbles into frame afterwards with a blade in her bag, and it's like, okay, all right.
True. Yeah.
I guess that happened. So the kills vary. You have there's one that's hampered a little bit by how dark it is, but there's like a harpoon gun in the dick.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked a really nice, cleaner, brighter shot of that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that this does share with 3, though, it doesn't necessarily share with the later movies. As much as we're saying he's definitely Jason now, like it feels like classic Jason. I think just the one thing the movie does that still feels kind of old school compared to the later ones is that it still avoids showing him for almost all, like the first 2/3 of the movie. You never see him really, right? Not really. They kind of hide. You see the hand here, you see the weapon here. It still kind of plays it almost as if we don't know who the killer is, even though we do.
Yeah.
But it still kind of shoots it that way until it's almost like a monster movie where okay, we're not going to show the alien until the 3rd act. Like we have to hold it back. They want to see Jason, so we're going to hold it and show him full in the 3rd act when he's actually chasing people and like busting through doors and everything else.
I like that you said monster movie, but then specifically made it an Alien.
Alien's a monster movie.
Well, yeah, it's just like I feel like you used a general like thing and then went
a werewolf
to a
then.
very specific.
You don't want to show the werewolf until you tease it all movie and then you do it, and it kind of works. Like it's not actually a criticism; it's just an observation. It's a little bit different because I feel like the later movies they'll just show you him standing there with the mask like all the time because why not?
Hey, I mean, I was gonna make a joke about there being a conspiracy where there being like 2 killers, but that would be an interesting idea though if you had like just a random serial killer killing a bunch of kids while like Jason is also there or something.
That's an interesting plot idea. I'll tell you. Actually, I had an idea. I hope no one steals this now, but I had an idea.
We'll copyright this podcast.
Yeah, I love the idea. I like this. I like the idea of making like a serial killer movie, right? That the twist at the end is that it's Jason Voorhees, but you don't know until the end that it's Jason. It's not called Friday the 13th. It's called something else. You just think it's a movie about a cop trying to track a killer, and all these bodies are piling up, and it's a big twist at the end. Oh shit! This is a Friday the 13th movie. This is Jason Voorhees.
You know what? I love that idea. This is one of the things that like drives me crazy is that like in this day and age, no one would ever be able to keep that secret.
That's fair.
You know, they would like. I think that like my mind would be so blown if I went into the theater not expecting that and then saw something like that. But yeah, in this day and age, people would be hyping it so much.
I know. I love the idea of it secretly being like, you know, either Jason or Michael, but you don't actually know that because we don't even know it's part of that franchise until it hits. And I had that idea before a certain film came out at the start of last year, before anyone says, oh, it's just like that movie. No. I had that idea before then. So, anyway.
Not sure what movie you're talking about.
Moving on. We reviewed it, Tim. You have seen it. You did
we'll
see
talk
it.
about it afterwards.
Cool. Cool. Right. So Jason looks good. His intimidation factor's great towards the end when he's doing all the chasing. When we're actually seeing him in full and he's busting through doors and everything else. One of the plot elements we have in this one is that, like you said, there's a brother character that we sort of run into who is a brother of one of the girls who died in the previous movies. So he's kind of hunting, he's looking for Jason, he wants to find him. Which, funnily enough, they kind of borrowed for the remake a little bit.
True, yeah.
You know, in 2009, so, you know, we'll get there eventually. But, so they don't do much with him, he's just kind of camping out of a tent, and then it kind of helps. I actually have to really, really laugh, though. His death cracked me up, because it doesn't play too badly, but if you listen to his dialogue, because he's with the sister, like Tommy Jarvis, who's played by Corey Feldman, of course, his big sister. He's with her. He's got like maybe this will be a romance, you know, potentially if it, you know, goes further, but it doesn't because he gets killed. But basically, he's down in the basement because they're searching the house where all the bodies are starting to pile up, and Jason like grabs him in the basement and he's like stabbing him and stuff. And as he's dying, he actually yells out, "He's killing me! He's killing me! Run! He's killing me!" And to be fair, it doesn't play as stupid as it sounds when I say it, but that is still horrible writing. Don't have your character yell out, "He's killing me! He's killing me! Oh my god, he's killing me!"
I think wasn't that like kind of a joke in like the first Austin Powers movie? I think like a character gets
it sounds familiar. Yeah.
They get like thrown into like a pit or something. You just hear him like screaming and then just like describing what's happening to him for a really, really long time.
Yeah, no, that sounds right. Yeah, it's been
Austin
a while.
Powers, but, maybe, probably a bad movie, but I liked it as a kid.
I liked it,
right,
yeah, when it came out and I was like 11 or whatever I was. Sure, there was entertainment. I don't know. I do, and I liked the second one when it came out as well. Yep. I don't know if they actually got worse or if I just was too old by that point, but when the third one came out, I thought it was garbage. So
yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, it's so hard to tell. Sometimes I don't trust my 10-year-old self.
I've never went back and watched the first two to see if I actually still think they're good or if I'm just going to be like, oh, this is still kind of rough.
Ooh, I think I know what our Patreon vote is going to be next month.
Not horror movies, Tim. Can't pick them.
Mike Myers is in it. That's not...
Just because they cracked that joke in Baby Driver, don't think we can do it here. All right. Where was it? Okay, so yeah, brother character dies and he yells out really goofy things as he's dying. So that's the whole thing. Other than that, you've got Crispin Glover's character. This was a year before Back to the Future, so it's just kind of fun that he's a teenager in this as well. Before we see him in Back to the Future, he's kind of a goofy character. He's kind of the loner. His friend thinks he's the hotshot who can get all the babes, and he keeps making fun of him. And I'm going to call him Teddy. That wasn't his name, but he was holding a teddy bear for like half the movie, and he kept saying, "Do you want to give Teddy a kiss?" And I'm like, okay, so he's Teddy. Yeah.
He might be more annoying than Shelley from.
Oh, he absolutely is. I think Shelley, whilst a bit annoying, is a likable guy though, despite being annoying. This guy is just annoying, and you can't wait for him to die because all he does is tell Crispin Glover that he's a loser and he's the quote unquote dead fuck. Right, that was the line. Yeah, he's shit in bed, and keeps putting him down, thinking he's a hot shot. So you're actually, and then he just gets high while he's watching like this old silent movie porn that he finds stashed somewhere in the house.
I think his death is the one I always remember the most, even though it's not like super, you know, like memorable or anything. I always remember it because of the weird like situation where this guy is watching this like old silent porno, like or whatever. It's like it's just so bizarre. And then like he stabs him through the projector screen, but it's I don't know, it's like so hard to forget just because it's like, oh, like this is like ancient even like back then. Why are they watching this?
Yeah, and he's laughing constantly as if it's really funny, and there's nothing funny about it. Like really, It's baffling to me. I mean, yeah, he's high at one point, but even before he's high, he's laughing at it. So I don't know. He's a really annoying character. We mentioned the characters weren't that well defined, and that's true because there's a character who I thought they were setting up because the final girl ends up being Tommy's big sister, right? And that makes sense as well. But there's a girl on the group of kids who I thought might be I mean, not this time because I've seen it before, but like could have been the final because she's kind of the one who's not had sex yet, and she's kind of she's kind of fitting that final girl stereotype.
It's like kind of like the main kind of couple of that group.
Yeah, because she's into this guy. And she does have sex with him by the end of the movie because he ends up dying in the shower. That's the screenshot.
I like that scene.
Yeah, I like that scene too. That's the screenshot I always remember from the movie though, is like him in the shower, like looking terrified as Jason's, about to bash his head in. But I thought, okay, so she kind of feels like she's the main girl, and then her friend's kind of I mean, she's only having sex with the boyfriend, but yeah, I'll just say the slutty one because she's got that kind of personality. But the main plot with the kids are because there's like no like they're trying to do anything other than just like they meet these twin girls, and the douchebag and Crispin Glover are trying to like flirt with them, and one of them.
Did they say why they're even there, or like is it literally they're just going there to camp or whatever vacation?
I don't think they say.
It's like it's that like pointless. It's just like these are just bodies. Like
that's a body count, and the one. There's the one that the douchebag's trying to like get in her pants. So that one who he's trying to like flirt with, because they come back to the house with them. They go skinny dipping first. There's like a funny scene where Tommy it was like one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when the first night where the kids are in the house, and by kids I mean the college age people, and the one of the girls is like taking her top off in the window, and Tommy is watching from across the street. And every couple of seconds, he just starts freaking out and like rolling around the bed in excitement because he's seeing boobs. I don't know. It cracked me up.
Actually, I really like this scene just because like I feel like in movies a lot of times you don't get to see kids be kids. Like when you do have like a younger kid in these movies, I feel like they're always very precocious or like they're like way too smart for their age. Like, oh god damn it, that freaking kid in the ring is so annoying. But,
I mean, but he's arguably a little too smart for his age because he's so good with the because he has the big idea at the end.
Make, like Hollywood level monster masks.
Yeah, which it's kind of funny to think that he's just based on maybe Tom Savini in some way.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, I love that the way he's like jumping up and down and like acting all giddy. It's like, oh no, like this is how a kid would act. Like especially like I like that he's watching it like. It's not like gross, like he's like turned on, but he's just watching it like, oh my god, like I shouldn't be watching this, ha ha ha. Like
he's excited about the boobs, but he's not old enough that it's creepy because he's getting some tissues to take care of business. Because yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say like if the kid from the ring was watching it would be like so much creepier.
I feel like if the kid from the ring was watching it, he'd be in like a suit and tie with a cognac.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just he'd have a single tissue that he'd just pull out. He's like, okay, I guess it's time to take care of business. Whereas Corey Feldman here, he feels like a kid. He's just excited to see boobs because he's not supposed to. The internet doesn't exist yet. He's not been able to just Google boobs like everyone else does these days, and he's excited. So I like that scene. But so the plot with this is going to sound convoluted, but let's just call them Twin A and Twin B, right? Twin A. Is the one that Crispin Glover's trying to flirt with. Twin B is the one that the douchebag's trying to flirt with. Twin B goes after the boyfriend of the slutty girl, right? Which the slutty girl's upset about. The boyfriend eventually says, no, I can't do this. He actually turns into, okay, you know what, I was kind of skirting with the idea, but you know what, I'm a better person than this. Unfortunately, by the time he decides that, his girlfriend's been killed in the lake. Jason's stabbed her through the boat. And then he goes out and he's the one that gets shot in the dick with the harpoon gun. So, fine. And then girl B, or twin B, then decides, you know what, that Crispin Glover guy, he's quite goofy, and his dancing was kind of hot in a really weird way. And she decides to just go after him, which upsets Twin A, because she just stole the one she was talking to. So she tries to leave, she gets killed, Crispin Glover and her have sex, and then of course her and Crispin Glover both get killed not long after sex. But of course, the arc is complete though, because after they have sex, Crispin Glover's like, hey, was I a dead fuck? And she's like, you know what? No, you were actually pretty good. In fact, I think I want to do it again. And he's all happy about it. That is the only plot the kids have. The biggest arc in the movie is that Crispin Glover is worried that he's bad at sex, then has sex and is told you're not bad at sex.
Yeah.
So he dies happy.
I cried.
Yeah. He dies happy at least.
It was a very touching scene.
Yeah, you were talking about tissues. You had tissues out for this. You're like, oh my god, he's good at sex. This is amazing. There's a parade, confetti up in the
air. Yeah, so blah blah blah. These kids, whatever.
They'll die.
The real meat, I feel like, are these last, like, what, 10 or 15 minutes when it's the sister and Tommy Jarvis.
Running from Jason. And there's a really great moment, actually, where the sister just throws herself out the window. It's before she gets to Tommy.
Oh, yeah,
She just like, throws herself out the window to get away. But, that was cool. I think everything, because when he's chasing after him, at one point, he throws the brother who was looking for his sister. He throws his body.
He throws the brother.
Yeah, he throws not Tommy. He throws the adult that he's killed already. He throws his body through the window, and it really feels like he's a Terminator in this movie. Like he's coming for them, and he just keeps hunting them through the house. And of course, eventually, we get Tommy like sees one of the photos from the brothers. He's been doing research, so he's got photos of a young Jason, and he shaves his head to look like young Jason, and they kind of tricks him. And the big ending of the movie is that not only does he stab Jason, he starts to freak out so much that he starts just stabbing him repeatedly as if he's going nuts. They're kind of teasing that he might become a serial killer now. That's kind of what the ending's going for. Because we get like a quick scene where the doctor's like talking to us, like, yes, well, it's not unusual for someone to go through a traumatic experience to like act out with some aggression. This is normal. This is very normal. So
I like this ending. I feel like we have the nice setup where it's this kid who obviously knows how to make like masks and prosthetics or whatever, and it's not really a mask. He basically just shaves his head, but still it's like, okay, yeah, like he knows how to alter his appearance.
Yeah, I guess what the movie's going for is that he understands and appreciates monsters.
Sure, yeah. There you go. And I like it's a little similar to the ending of 2, where you have the protagonist starts to pretend to be Jason's mother. In this, you have the kid pretending to actually be a younger Jason. So I thought it was kind of interesting. But I think the real cool standout part of it is the stabbing him in the face with a machete and then having him kind of just slide down into it.
Yeah,
that looks really cool.
It looks really cool. All the chase stuff in the last like 10-20 minutes is really, really good. And then, of course, the final moment that it goes to credits on is like she's hugging little Tommy, and Tommy's just staring like he's a complete and utter psychopath. So, look forward to part 5, folks. That's coming. Obviously, this is often referred to as the first part of the Tommy Jarvis trilogy because he's in 3 movies in a row. Although, honestly, when we obviously we'll talk about this more when we get to 5 and 6, but 5 feels it's out of a different continuity because Tommy feels very different in 6 than he does in what he's meant to be in 5. So, hey, whatever.
We'll get there. Yeah, and I like having a character to kind of follow in these movies. Like in Nightmare, you have kind of the like a little bit of a line you can trace with Nancy. Even though she's not in every movie, and I kind of like having one character that you can at least go back to or make references to.
Yeah, I mean, Halloween, of course, cool. It was Loomis, and then if you're going from 1-2 to H2O, or even 1-2 to Resurrection, or not Resurrection, sorry, the new one that's coming out,
Returns.
Yeah, Returns. I don't even have to call it that anymore. I think it's just called Halloween. I could be wrong.
Yeah, fair. Yeah,
but we'll see. But yeah, so in that case, it's Laurie who's the through line. But yeah, I like having her through line too. It's cool. It's nice when it's not just random new batches of characters every movie necessarily. And after we're done with the Tommy trilogy, we get the Carrie knockoff who's going to fight Jason. So lots of things to look forward to, but that's Friday the 13th part 4. Anything else you want to talk about or bring up? Any scenes that are sticking out as we should talk about that?
I'm trying to think, but all I can think about is I've been playing Mortal Kombat recently, and I'm thinking of Jason's fatalities.
It's almost
Yeah,
a shame that he only has one or two in that game.
yeah,
He should have tons of fatalities. They're all fatalities. He's Jason Voorhees,
yeah.
goddammit.
They're pretty cool. I mean, I made this rant before, but just for God's sakes, just make like a horror game. We all want it. We all want to play it and watch Jason fight Leprechaun. Of course.
Once again, we're back to Tim not understanding how rights to characters work.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't understand why these people don't want to make money, because all this crap will make money. Just share the profits. I don't know. Everyone's so stubborn. Who cares? So yeah, Mortal Kombat is a great game. I guess
Speaking of video games, actually, Tommy at one point early on, he's playing a video game, and it's like this old Atari game or whatever it is, or maybe it's one of the computers that existed way back then that I couldn't even possibly name because I wasn't even born yet. I'm happy to say, unlike Tim, who's the old man over here.
Hey,
were you born in '84, Tim? Was that pre you? I assume it was
pre me, you son of a bitch.
But yeah, so by the way, just let's point out here that the first movie was 1980, and this is the fourth movie in 1984. So that's only 1 year's been skipped.
Mm-hmm.
4 movies in 5 years. That is impressive. But hey, so what was I going to say? Yeah, so he's playing a video game, and all I could think was, oh, I'm glad I was born later, because video games look really shit. It's just, it's so simple. Even like, when we get to the 8-bit stuff, at least you can make out what things are meant to be. I'm so glad I wasn't around in the Atari days. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of retro games, but yeah, anything pre-NES, I'm not like, some of it's fun, but yeah, I can't really play it for too long without getting bored.
Yeah. Of course, there's some grandpas watching this going, oh, you kids today, you're too entitled. Video games. We had Pong, and Pong was great. But hey, so that is I guess that's Friday the 13th Part 4. It's a really solid one. Good kills, good Jason, good hunting vibe. You can critique it, I think, for what did you say?
I said good Jason.
Good Jason. Jason. X to Jason. Jason X.
Sure.
Oh, this has been a rambling one. So yeah, no, I think it's a solid one. Good kills, good Jason. I like all the chase stuff at the end. I like the sort of more constantly raining at night kind of gritty slasher feel of it. I think the critiques would be the characters are even thinner than usual. There's very little. They're a bit too spread thin, I guess. And they are just kind of meat to be killed, but the kills are memorable, and good stuff. So Tim, let's rate Friday the 13th, the final chapter. What were you giving it?
It's a little tough because it's good. It's still not my favorite of the franchise. So
like 6?
No. Come on. Oh wait, I thought you meant I was gonna give it a 6.
No, your favorite 6. That's what I'm saying.
We'll see. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I think it's really good, but it's just a little bit shy of an 8 for me. I think maybe if there is a few more kills that I enjoyed, like I definitely don't think the kills were bad, but
that's fair.
Yeah, if there are a few maybe really crazy over the top ones, I was like, whoa, like that could have definitely bumped it up over for me. But 7.5, still very good.
Yeah. Oh, it's weird rating some of these movies because I'm like, I really like it, but then if I objectively step back as someone who critiques film on a regular basis and this is what makes a good film, I'm like, well, I can't really give it that high a score, but at the same time, I have a lot of fun with it, and I like it a lot. So I'm just going to shoot a straight, I think. No, I'm going to agree. 7.5.
Okay.
7.5. I wish I remembered what I'd given 2 and 3, just so I could have an idea of what they're comparing them to.
I think every time we do one of these, I'm always like, oh, I should go back and see what my score was, because I'm like, I probably said the same thing about one of the other movies, but gave it like an 8.5 or something, like where it's like, wait,
you didn't go that high, Tom. I'm pretty sure you didn't go that high. But yeah, so no, I think 2, 3, and 4 make quite a solid little trilogy of movies.
Definitely.
and then we'll be getting to part 5 next time we come back to Friday the 13th. Like I said at the start of the show, though, next time we get back to a franchise movie, it should be Nightmare 3, and then we've got Halloween 4 to contend with, and Phantasm 4. So, bunch of things to get through.
Well, we already did all the Halloween movies, didn't we?
I said Phantasm 4.
Before that, though, you said Halloween 4.
I said Howling 4.
Oh, Howling. Okay,
Howling,
okay.
yes.
Sorry.
The Howling, the werewolves. I mean, how do you follow up marsupials? I don't know, but we'll find out.
Amphibians. They're and then Howling 4. They're fish now.
We're fish.
Yeah. Hey, I'd watch that. Copyright. No one take it.
So,
mermaids, that'd be terrifying. Oh my god.
Yeah.
At the very least, it'd be a good Aquaman issue.
Aye. Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe the Aquaman movie later this year. Maybe that'll have some werefish in it. But I guess that wraps us up. And of course, and we should have an episode again next week. We're actually, I mean, this quiet spell's ended up not being really that quiet, but. We have the Patreon pick to do next week, which was Edition, so you can expect that as the next episode. And then we go into April, and we have at least one big new release early April, and then we'll see what we can get back to for the rest of the month. But things are looking pretty good, so no need to be too concerned, and we'll be back next week with Edition. So I guess that's been Streams After Midnight. That's been Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Not really final, of course, but final. As opposed to Jason Goes to Hell the Final Friday, which was also not the final chapter.
Can't keep a good Jason down, I guess.
You cannot. I'd almost forgive it if it was a reboot after this, but it's not. It's 5. A new beginning. But hey, so that's it. So yeah, you can subscribe, let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. If you want to get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates, you can do that. You can over at patreon.com/mailfuzztv if you want to support the show and the channel. There's a link to that in the description. You get to vote once a month on an episode. Actually, what's the vote this month? It's up for the patrons to vote on.
We're doing some Crypt movies. I don't know which ones you picked out.
That's right, yeah, it's 4 Crypt movies. That's why I can't remember, because usually I remember them because there's a theme. So it's like, okay, so it's 4 vampire movies, and I'll remember them quite easily because it's 4 vampire movies. This month they're all completely randomly different things, but they're all from the Crypt. What is the Crypt, you ask? That's a good question, Tim. Good Tim. Good Timmy. So no, the Crypt is basically another thing our patrons have is they can submit movies to the Crypt, which is a list of a to-do list essentially for movies that are user submitted.
We should call it a to-die list since it's a horror podcast.
List. Sure, I'm fine with that, Tim. So patrons get to submit to the list. Everyone gets to see the list. You can actually, there'll be a link in the description, as there always is, to actually go and look at what's in the list right now, and you can check that out. But patrons get to submit. So the vote for this month is 4 movies from the Crypt. So they're voting on that. The patrons are voting. So you can go do that, check that out. Plus there's other bonuses for other shows. But that is it. So I think we're done. I think that's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, and we'll see you next time.